Hey everyone, it's Michaela, but you can call me Mick, and welcome back to the channel. This is definitely a different type of video than I've probably ever done. I tried to record this video about 3 different times, this coming back video and what I'm focusing on for 2025, but there's always something wrong with it. I didn't like the way I looked, the lighting, the sound, and after trying over and over again for weeks, I decided, let's just show you guys some things that I do when I'm not writing to fill up my creative well, while I just chat to you about what my plans are for 2025. So get cozy because this video's about to be like a call to a friend.
I was just a kid learning to fly. 'Cause you're the heart I need and the kindness you've given me. You made me the man I am.
What I'm actually doing in this video is I've started a commonplace journal. I've always been that type of person who's tried to journal, and as a writer, you'd think I'd be someone who would try to journal a lot, but I've never been very successful. I realized that it was because I thought that my journal kind of had to be perfect, like a book. You know, like someone's gonna read this someday, and I need it to encapsulate everything perfectly. And if you've watched videos on my channel, maybe you'll find out that perfectionism is a bit of a theme here. The Commonplace book feels like a great replacement to that idea of journaling. It allows me to put whatever I want, and I know I could put whatever I want in a journal as well, but in the Commonplace book, this practice of just taking notes on things and just compiling anything that is in your head into a page feels easier than the pressure of having to always write about my day. I'm also a pretty big paper collector. In this video now, I'm putting in a card from my mother-in-law because my birthday is soon, and she sent me some really beautiful mushroom prints that I can't wait to hang up in my house. But I collect so much paper, and this was a great way to just kind of keep all the paper I shove in boxes and also talk about my life, take notes on writing, and again, whatever I want. So I'm excited to share more about this practice with you guys this year as I fill out this journal. I also ordered from an Etsy shop that I will post down below these folders that you see up top, these manila folders that have just amazing like old newspaper, magazine, and book scraps that the shop owner like cuts up and curates and sends out, and they're all randomized. I bought 3 folders. Cannot wait to just use these for the journal, for a zine, and for other creative projects this year. So that's what I'm doing in this video, is just starting my commonplace practice, which is something I'm going to take you guys on this year. So what am I focusing on in 2025? I know it's a bit ridiculous to talk about what I'm focusing on in a year where 2 months have already gone by, but that's on par for this year so far. I have eased in to this year. I took a break from YouTube, I took a small break from writing, and I even took a break from Instagram. I just allowed myself to sit, to be for the past few months. But this winter, I've really reflected on what I am putting my attention on this year, and it's a bit different than years past. First up, we are definitely trying to finish Project House of Stone. If you don't know, that is my adult contemporary fantasy about an underground society of magic users where honestly everything that could go wrong seemingly goes wrong. There are cults and women who can see ghosts and read the future. Oh, and also vampire-adjacent happenings. The goal goes beyond finishing the project, though. I really want to get House of Stone query ready. In previous videos, a lot of you would ask if I am traditionally or independently publishing House of Stone, and I never really had an answer. But after a lot of reflection, I am going to move forward with this project into the query trenches. It doesn't mean I'll never publish independently. In fact, I feel like I'm going to end up being a hybrid author, hoping to publish in both spaces. I previously tried to finish this draft by the end of last year, but we all know that didn't happen. So I've given myself a longer runway this year, with hopes to finish the first draft by the end of April. A lot keeps changing with this story, which always happens to me when I'm in drafting mode. I constantly am asking myself, what if? And it just ends up changing the trajectory of my project entirely. I'm going to be sharing more with you all about my project in the next video, since I feel like it has evolved so much from the first time I talked about it. Like I said, this video isn't my normal type of content, but my content will be changing a bit this year. I'm no longer chasing the elusive YouTube algorithm because success on YouTube isn't my main goal. I wrote a Substack about this topic, so I won't get into it too much here, but I really struggled at the end of last year constantly asking myself, am I a content creator or a writer? Being a full-time writer or getting paid to write is the ultimate goal, and working towards that is my plan this year. Making YouTube videos is really fun, and I love to yap, evidence clearly represented in my writing live streams. I love the community that YouTube has given me and the outlet to talk about my story and others, but my main goal is not to be a YouTuber, you know? I'm not taking brand deals. I don't care about making money off of this platform. Instead, I truly want to make content that resonates with me this year and documents my journey. Documentation is key this year, so you may see more videos like this. More raw and transparent looks at my creative process in and out of writing without worrying about if anyone's gonna watch it. The changes in my relationship with content creation can all be directly stemmed from my war with phones and screens right now. I feel like it's kind of a cultural shift. I'm constantly reading think pieces on Substack about this want and almost collective desire to be off of our phones and in the real world, but I don't really know if anyone's doing that. Well, I want to this year, because our phones are killing us. And I know that sounds a tad dramatic, but it's true. It's killing our creativity, our bodies, our brains, and oh my gosh, our attention span. I'm committed to taking all of that back this year and out of the control of phones and screens. That means the big screens too, the TV, the computer, the video games, my laptop, my phone. There's so many screens. So this year we will be focusing on less screen time and more time to create, read, write, and be outside of my house. Connecting with people face to face, being in nature, achieving our goals, living moments sometimes in silence. Yeah, silence. Dealing with our thoughts, less overstimulated environments, and more connection. Getting back to what really matters in life. And what matters to me the most this year is to create. Create was actually my word of the year. I pick a word every year to encapsulate my goals, and create seemed to fit. Outside of creating a full book, I really want to focus on creating to just create with no strings attached. No plan to turn my hobby into a full-time business. No girl bossing my crafts or an outcome that involves money. Creating to put art into the world and to create for me. I have so many hobbies. I wrote in a recent newsletter post that I am a firm believer that we only have one life, so we might as well do it all. And I collect hobbies like trophies. I also have adult ADHD, so do with that what you will, but I really want to focus on just creating this year and creating bad art and creating good art, but with no real outcome. No perfectionism to hold me back. I've started this by taking pottery again. I've been going to a pottery class every week, and it has been so much fun. I also have other hobbies that I want to get back to, like sewing. I used to sew all the time, and now I'm very rusty at it. I love to sew my own clothes and other cute little projects. I want to make a quilt this year. I've never made a quilt. I've always loved them. I think that would be so cool. I crochet. I'd like to learn to knit. There's so many things I want to do. I have a whole Pinterest board dedicated to mosaics. I've never made a mosaic, but they are so beautiful. I could learn how to make stained glass. I can do whatever I want, and so can you. We can literally do it all. The jack of all trade, master of none, that phrase has an ending, and it ends with, is always better than a master of one. At least, that's how I say it. And speaking of jack of all trades, the last thing I'm really focusing on this year, and I guess not the last thing, I wrote out a lot of things that I'm focusing on this year, but I'm really just chatting with you all about the creative aspects of that list. But my last project that I'm really putting time and effort toward is something I mentioned casually on this channel before, and it is my narrative tabletop board game. Yes. I really love board games. I've always loved board games, and I unfortunately am not surrounded by people who love board games, so I'm always searching for people to play with me. But I've had this idea for a board game in my head for years, and it's not your typical board game. It's kind of half audiobook, half board game, half like mystery box. And I'm just really excited about it. I've been working on it the past couple of months while I took a break from Project House of Stone, and what I realized is I do really well with these more serious projects that I want to finish something and accomplish a goal if I move back and forth between a couple of them. And since my book and this board game are both story related but different mediums and different skills, it's been really fun to be able to move between the two. If you guys are interested in that content, I can definitely try to film some of my process because it is completely new to me. That's something I don't know anything about. I'm going in completely blind, whereas writing a book I feel a little bit more confident and comfortable in. But overall, the theme of this year is to create with no bounds as well, to create with not money in mind or, I don't know, even an audience. I'm creating to just put it out there. I'm creating for me, and the only time I want to monetize is figuring out how to become a full-time writer, working towards that goal. Everything else is for fun, and that includes YouTube. So I'm still going to be posting videos here. I'm definitely hoping to get to once a week, but I'm not going to be putting so much pressure on myself. I want to create content that I'm really proud of and that feels fun and artistic to make versus, I don't know, running around for the algorithm and feeling like a influencer when I'm not here to influence you. I'm here to be a person with you, to be a writer, to be a creative, to be a friend, to talk about the struggles that having a creative life comes with and the struggles of right now, especially, I mean, living in a world that feels very tumultuous and scary and sad and heartbreaking, and being able to make art through all of it. So if you like that, that's what I'll be doing this year. And if you don't like that, that's okay. That's okay. Thanks so much for listening to this very different video from me. And if you followed all the way through, which I know my real ones did, that you can put some sort of bird emoji down at the bottom for this little bird print that I made. It's not the best print. I actually used to take printmaking in high school. And when I did AP art, I did like my focus on printmaking, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I recently just bought some stuff to do it again, like a couple months ago. So this is a print I etched out in like 2024, which I think is what I'm about to write on this piece of paper here. But it's been a lot of fun. I've been making some cool prints, and this one didn't turn out the best. I didn't ink it down correctly. I also couldn't find my like roller to press it on, so I used that little candle. But this is just an example of everything I've been talking about, right? I'm creating this sheet to document my life, to document my little artsy self, I guess, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just art. It's just there. I like birds, and I challenged myself with like the smaller details in the leaves, and that's what matters. Okay, I've successfully chatted your ear off, and if this was a friend phone call, I would be doing a bad job of listening on my part. I'd love to hear down in the comments what you guys are focusing on this year, and if you resonate with anything I talked about, if you too are trying to just create to create and abandon our perfectionist selves and create with no bounds. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. As always, thank you so much for listening and watching me work on my commonplace book. I can't wait to share more with you this year. Talk soon. Bye, writers.